going down, fuck the world, I'm a thug. Tell him, can't nothing stop me but a slug.
John Smith with a good question. Did you see MVP from Bellator the boxing match? Did you see that shit? You see the way he was moving?
Yeah.
First of all, to clear it up, his opponent was shit. He's like a 1-11 guy. Okay, so that was just a showcase fight for Paige.
Yeah, which is pretty much the tale of his whole fucking career.
Hands everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, I've been an MVP fan for a long time. We had him on Stand and Bang like 2 years ago. He was a super nice dude, really fun interview, really cool guy. But goddamn it, the jig is up, baby. Buddy, I've heard of before. I mean, I don't give a fuck. Do it in a boxing ring. I don't give a shit if you go grapple somebody I've heard of. But for Christ's sakes, compete against a name of some fucking caliber somewhere. I mean, yeah, you seen that boxing match. Did you see what he did to him? He fucking hit him with a Power Ranger move and then fucking did a Michael Jackson over the rope, and the fucking referee, it looked like something out of the fucking WWF, man. I mean, I love MVP, but Jesus fucking Christ, come on.
Yeah, John on here was like, he did the drunken master. Fucking right.
Yeah, I swear he did, which was cute, but goddamn, man. You know, come on, man, fuck.
I don't know. It's I watched the fight on YouTube and I was like, okay. Like you could tell the other cat had no business being in there with MVP. So it was kind of annoying to watch.
Speaking of Bellator, was this the worst weekend for Bellator with their prospects kind of getting killed and then that main event not really living up to what it was supposed to be?
Well, here's the thing. I keep hearing that because, again, Bellator, you motherfuckers, you can't do some shit live when it's like legitimately live. You have to do it 4 hours fucking later. Thanks a lot. So I didn't watch it, and I normally don't unless they do live or I can find a stream, which I rarely look at depending on who's fighting. But I did hear I read all the tweets. I heard all the talk about it. Oh, it was a fucking awful show for Bellator. So, of course, I had to go watch it. So I went and watched it. Holy shit, it was bad. Like, I'm not surprised. They did like 400,000, the ratings, like 400,000 people watching. Is that the number?
Those were almost Musasi fans.
And I like Gegard, but he lost that fight. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. They awarded him that W. He took that W in the eye. But credit to fucking Gegard. I heard that bullshit he said about, you can all suck my dick or whatever it was. It was pretty funny. I got to give him that credit. That's pretty good.
It's very long. You can all suck it. Get the line.
God, you know what? Gegard is one of those dudes like you don't expect him to say funny shit, and then he says something like that. You're like, motherfucker. I want to hate you, but I can't.
Listen.
Isn't those quiet guys the ones you got to worry about? Like, isn't Brendan Schaub the one that said that Rory McDonald came up with he's got to dick him down? He's the one that where he got that from.
Yeah, that's creepy sounding coming from Rory.
Yeah, mind you, I don't know, it was bad. So Gegard wins his fight, and that was not a fun fight at all. The other one was Heather Hardy getting beat down by an 0-0.
Well, alrighty then.
The connection went dead. What he was saying, Fred? Did you watch Bellator at all, Fred, or did you miss it?
Well, I seen those fights. I caught the Heather Hardy shit.
What do you think about that? Because we're all led to believe that Heather Hardy is like the best boxer in. She's got a great record in women's boxing, and she comes over and she gets lit up by an amateur, basically.
Listen, can we all just fucking stop with the boxing MMA? It's not the same, man. It's not the same. Kickboxers, fucking wrestlers, hell, even the rare BJJ guy can make that crossover, and kind of it matters a little bit. It just kind of doesn't, man. Like, it doesn't translate. Boxing for MMA is not the same as boxing for fucking boxing. Now, listen, if you box professionally, you can't hold that against you. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, it's a tool. You know how to box. But it does not mean that you're going to be able to carry many of those same talents into the cage. It is a whole different world. With kickboxing, it's slightly different. The angles are kind of similar to MMA because you're using all those limbs. With boxing, it's completely fucking different, man. It's night and day. So I think we need to be a little bit more cognizant of these boxers making the transition and putting these wild, it's It's the same as Conor boxing Floyd, man. Boxing anybody of that caliber professionally is never going to end well. It's not the fucking same thing at all. Conor can throw his hands a little, but he's not a fucking boxer. Right? Boxer, but that doesn't mean that she's going to be some vicious striker in MMA. You've seen. Yeah. Some broad with an 0-0 record fucking thunder kicked her right in the nose. And what happened? She's fucking bending over, doing some shit that in boxing, she probably would have bobbed and weaved and got away with perfectly. In MMA, you get fucking kicked in the face pulling that little stunt.
Yeah, looking like Rory McDonald and shit after that fight, which is sad to see, by the way. That was sad.
Listen, I'll give her this. She's fucking tougher than
as fuck. Tough as fuck. Yeah, fucking. What was the question? Does Raider asks, does Risen have women's heavyweight? Gabby Garcia. Yes. Gabby Garcia will fight grandmothers. Okay.
I swear to God, isn't the fact that Cyborg is even friends with Gabby Garcia like reason enough to test her constantly? I'm being serious. Like,
no, I know.
Those two broads, you see those two broads ride in a car together in Japan or Brazil. It's like we both y'all got the piss in this cup right now.
Can you imagine them in like both of those girls in like a fucking like Prius like this? It would look comical, right? Like they're both hunched like this because their shoulders are fucking like right on each other in the middle of the car. Yeah. Anyway, but Gabby Garcia. That's all we got to say about that. Raider says Royd buddies at the salon. God damn, that's like the best way to fucking put it.
You ain't lying.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that Bellator thing. I mean, look, if I'm not saying it's gonna put a stop to the people saying, "Oh, Bellator's catching up to UFC," but they got a way to go.
Quick question, guys. Okay, so Mousasi comes over, basically looks like shit, doesn't do exactly what he wanted to do. A lot of people were saying going into this fight that Mousasi needed to do something good because a lot of the UFC signings that Bellator has got has kind of been flops. Ben Henderson, fucking Roy Nelson. I mean, the list goes on and on with the guys that came over that you thought was going to do big things and they kind of fizzled out. Now, a lot of people look at that and say, Bellator guys can compete with the UFC guys because these UFC guys come over and they either lose or they barely win to these guys. And I mean, fuck, Mousasi just barely beat a guy that wasn't even the champion in Bellator. Which way do you look at it? Do you look at it like that? Do you look at it in the way that you think that these Bellator guys can actually compete? Because I tell you what, man, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I almost start to feel like the UFC kind of knows what they're doing. And they know how to fucking hedge their bets with these guys. I mean, maybe they're just getting lucky, and maybe Benson just happened to unluckily lose, and Roy just happened to. But it feels like maybe Sean Shelby and Dana White and these cats just kind of know what they're doing after decades of doing this. And they're like, hey, Gegard, that bruh, you're at the tail end of your shit. You're a little long in the tooth. Same thing with you, fat boy. Like you ain't. And then they go over. The proof is in the pudding, right?
No, and Liam just basically took my point before I could say it. Liam says Bendo was on the downside before he left the UFC. Same for many fighters. I have to agree with that. Benson was already on his way out. But the biggest problem with Benson was 170. That's another guy that does not need to be fighting at 170. Okay.
True.
But I don't know. I was thinking about this because in other sports, for example, especially in football, American football, guys bust their ass. You get ridiculous seasons from guys on their rookie contracts. Some of these guys get paid, get their payday, and all of a sudden their performances tank. Could it be because could it fucking Bellator's supposed to be paying these guys more money, right? Could it be because they're getting more money that they're not performing very well anymore? I wonder if that's a thing.
But okay, so it could be, but you also have to take into consideration that these guys are supposed to be making more money off of sponsorship deals, off of all this other thing. And according to what Gegard recently said, he's not making that much money.
No,
he's not cashing those big checks, from sponsorships like he used to. So I really think that Fred is onto a point, and I really thought that from the beginning. Maybe the UFC really does know that these guys are past their prime. I mean, they let go of Frank Mir, they let go of Lorenz Larkin, they let go of guys that we as fans, kind of thought that they still had something. But I don't know. Maybe they see something we don't. Maybe they look at something different. You know, they're looking at things differently. Because, I mean, I would have paid to keep Benson Henderson in the UFC. Yet his track record at Bellator really contradicts what I'm thinking. You know, and Gegard over here, his performance was crap. I mean, the only guy that has done exactly what he said he was going to do, sadly, is Ryan Bader.
Mm-hmm.
He's the champ over there at Bellator, right? He's the only guy that went to Bellator and did what he said he was going to do in a very boring fashion, very Ryan Bader-esque, but he's the only one that really conquered what he said he was going to do, you know? So, I mean, I think Fred has the point right there that maybe the UFC really honestly does know what they're doing.
It's possible. I mean, look, I look, they're not at the top for no reason. Let's be honest, all right? By the way, just another quick point, because now it reminds me of this. The sponsor thing reminds me of this. When the UFC signed that Reebok deal, everyone's like, "Oh, all these sponsors are gonna flood over to Bellator." Is it just me, or did they not do that?
No, of course they're not. The Bellator's not the UFC, man. It's not the same thing. It's not the same exposure. Those sponsors aren't fucking stupid. It's not like it's like, oh, Bellator is going to pull the same numbers that the UFC pulls. That's how sponsorship works, man. Same thing with Mousasi. Listen, Mousasi, you might not be getting a lot of sponsors. Your goddamn performances aren't where they need to be. God damn it. Sometimes you got to call a spade a spade. Fuck, listen, nobody was sadder than me. After that performance, I wanted Gegard to do good. I'm an old school Gegard fan. I thought he was going to beat the fuck out of the little fucking Russian spin machine. So color me fucking disappointed when his eye swells up and he fucking, doesn't look that great. I was like, not really arguing, but going back and forth with somebody on Twitter. They was like, well, he fought valiantly with a closed eye. A closed eye that he let get closed by homeboy's fist. I mean, it ain't like he came in with a fucking case of the goddamn chicken pox. He got punched in the face. That's why his eye was closed. I mean, yeah, it's not easy to fight with one eye, but that's why you don't get fucking thunderstruck in it. What the fuck?
Motherfuckers love it to be a soldier. Must maintain composure at ease.